Hi there, Fred FR5ED, the 5 is silent, here to do a beer review. This is Brooklyn Brewery's East India Pale Ale. East India Pale Ale, IPA. The interesting thing about this one, they of course are located in Brooklyn, is that this is an attempt to recreate, or at least it's a very serious nod towards the English-style IPAs from the early 1800s, back when England was shipping beer to India, and it wasn't getting there safely, it was spoiling, but they found that if you added extra hops and increased the alcohol percentage, the beer would make it there safely. And of course, the styles of beer that were popular in England during that time were, porters and stouts, the dark beers. But what George Hodgson, if that's how you pronounce it, he did not create IPAs, but what he did do was listen to the reports coming back from the troops in India, and what they liked the paler, style. So what ended up happening was the pale ales of England, that they increased the hops and the alcohol content that he started shipping, those became the best known ones, and that's what George Hodgson and his son, I think Mark, who perpetuated that, were known for. The hops that are chiefly in this particular one, Brooklyn Brewery East India Pale Ale, are the East Kent Golding hops. And again, apparently those are very close to or much like the ones that were used then. So my expectation of this is going to be that it's not going to be your West Coast or even East Coast U.S. Style IPA. It's not going to be real hoppy and real bitter. This actually, it's 6.9% ABV. It's only 47 IBUs. Again, it seems to be well below what I've heard that the threshold is for the international bittering units. So we'll see. On Beer Advocate, out of 836 reviews, it scored an 83. And on Rate Beer, out of 1,220 reviews, it scored an 88. So let's go ahead and see what this is going to be like. I know what I'm expecting now. I'm expecting something malty and muted in the way of the hops. All right, so let's check this out. Oh, very pale. At least it seems to be pouring very pale from the bottle. Let's see how it translates into the glass. It's okay, a little darker than I thought, but it's still light on the spectrum of IPAs for me. It's a light amber, dark golden, a little bit honey colored. I wouldn't call it copper, wouldn't call it brown. Didn't pour with much of a head. Again, I was kind of, casual with my pour there. So that's disappearing. Looks like it might have some good lacing. Let's give it a smell. Oh, okay, something familiar there. I have had some English-style IPAs, and it's reminding me that bready aroma. If there's any hops aroma there, it is not Christmas trees. It's not citrus. It's not melon and mango and pineapple. I'm smelling more malts than what I recognize as hops. I'm so focused tightly on the West Coast style IPAs that I may not recognize a lot of the things that are here. Okay, let's give it a taste and see what happens. Very much a malt-heavy IPA, not unexpected. Had I thought that I was pouring a West Coast style IPA, I'd be bitterly, no pun intended, bitterly disappointed right now. But knowing what it's intended to be, I can appreciate that. There is some bitterness there. There's the hop bitterness, which of course comes from the boiling the hops in there from the beginning. I do believe it's dry hopped as well, but if it's with the same hops and if it's an English style hop, it's not going to have the same characters as what we're accustomed to from the West Coast here and even from the East Coast. It's a light body. It's dry, very dry. There's no real sweetness to it. So it's a dry, lighter bodied IPA. Carbonation is average. I didn't get much of a head out of it just because probably I didn't pour it quite vigorously enough. Lacing is very moderate. I'm not getting a lot of lacing there. So it's very English in style. And for those who like an English style IPA, you definitely need to try this. If those of you out there are like me, and I'm very tightly focused on West Coast IPA styles, you know, you're not going to categorize this in your favorite IPAs. It's good on a 5-star scale. You have to remember, this is subjective. This is my tastes. I'm not trying to be a professional judge here because I can't. So this is purely to my own likings, and I've just disclosed what my bias is. It's very bitter, citrusy, piney, hoppy West Coast IPAs. I'd give it a 3.25 to 3.5. 3.25. 3.25. Very subjective, and it's only based on my own personal tastes. So there you have it. This is Fred, FR5ED, over and out.